Hi, and welcome to the Switch Show. If this is your first time listening, yeah, welcome. If you keep coming back, welcome back to the Switch Show. I'm your host, Malise Chinoyawafo. So, today, you've probably seen by the topic, you've most likely seen by the topic, we're going to be talking about something that pertains to everyone in society today. So, this is not just about a younger audience. This isn't just tailor made for a younger audience, but there would be some emphasis on the younger audience because I'm also young. I don't think I'm an old man. But before we get into this, make sure to follow us on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, hit that follow button, ring the notification bell so that you get notified each time we post. Every time we post, we usually post on Thursdays, except when there are like hitches, so we'll post any other day. So yeah, expect us every Thursdays or any other day of the week. If you don't see us on Thursday, any other day of the week, except if notified. But yeah, let's get into today's topic: stand out or fit in. Almost like a cliche topic. It's I don't know how many people have had their parents tell them you have to stand out from the crowd. You have to stand out. Don't fit in. There's this quote that Nigerian parents always go with. I think it became widespread. It became more prominent when I was, how old was I? I think I was just, when I became a teenager newly, it became more prominent when my parents would tell me, don't hang around, especially my mom, say don't hang around with unfriendly friends, And many of the times when they say these things, I'm like, how am I going to know who is an unfriendly friend? What if people's, approach to life is just different from mine and I just need that kind of exposure, But regardless of that, the moral of the lesson or the primary goal they were trying to drive at, or the thing they were trying to drive home or hit home, was that you should stand out and not fit in. I'm pretty sure, Nigerian or not, your parents have told you that thing a couple of times. But yeah, as I grew older, I started asking myself the question, what does it mean to stand out? How does it mean to fit in? Because I became a propagator, I became an activist, a standout activist. Became an activist for the message, stand out from the crowd, don't roll with your peers, don't do things like they do, stuff like that. And it makes fitting in look bad, and it makes standing out look good. But today I'm not here to tell you that one is better than the other. So you are saying stand out or fit in. I'm not here to tell you that one is better than the other. Both of them have their good and both of them have their bad. It shock you? Yeah, I know. It shocked me too when I realized. So yeah, what does it mean to stand out? Let's get we like our dictionary definitions here. Let's get the dictionary definition. To stand out means to be prominent or conspicuous. I didn't write the second definition I got. This is of the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. The second definition of to stand out means to be resistant or to be stubborn. That is where the bad side comes in. So, to fit in means to belong with other things or to be accepted by other people in a group. Permit my sniffles, I'm coming down with a little bit of, I don't know whether it's flu. But anyway, that's that on another day. So, now we can see the juxtaposition, we can see where both definitions stand. And based off of definition, we are given a context now. So standing out means prominence or conspicuousness. I don't know if that's the word. You're not to be inconspicuous, you're not to be insignificant. It's to rise to prominence, it's to rise to influence. So taking this primarily from a Christian perspective, when we talk about standing out, or what I believe standing out to be is when you're given an assignment that is tied to your life's purpose, that is ultimately tied to your life's purpose, that assignment shouldn't be something that should be buried because you don't have as much exposure, or you don't have as much audience as you would wish for. It's something that when it has been properly, when it has been properly nourished, when it has been properly nurtured, it's like a baby plant. You plant your seedlings, you make your little nursery, and you plant these seeds, and you watch them sprout over time. It goes from one tiny pot to a bigger pot, and from a bigger pot it becomes too big for that pot, so you need to transfer it into probably a bed. A bed I forgot my agricultural terms, but something like a bed, and then it becomes bigger than that bed, so you need to transfer it into a larger plantation, probably into a greenhouse, probably in a greenhouse or out on the fields. The ridges you've made, you plant them there to give them adequate room to breathe. So similarly, these things happen with the plans, the assignments, the goals, the objectives that we all have as individuals. So many times people are comfortable with staying in their enclosure, with being private, with being secretive. But over time, whatever assignment that has been placed in your hands by God, there is a place for it in the grand scheme of things. There is a place for it in the grand scheme of things. So when God is telling you, sometimes God doesn't even have to tell you, you should know. So when God is telling you, or that this plan you've been nurturing, these plants that you can't keep on, you imagine planting corn, and the corn is ripe, the corn is heading into, I really don't know the agricultural side of things. I will do very well when I'm using my agricultural analogies. Well, let's say the corn has started germinating, and it has sprouted some leaves. It has sprouted some things, and you didn't plant it out in the field in the first place. You can't leave it inside your house and expect it to have similar conditions, similar characteristics, or to grow the same way as the other ones planted out in the field. So the difference between a plan well made and a plan executed usually is the exposure. Your level of exposure determines how you take a plan from being made to being executed. So when we talk about standing out, your assignment is not to be hidden. Your assignment is to prepare, to build, to grow, to mature, and then come out into prominence, be conspicuous, be involved, participate. If it is to go beyond participation, put in the work. Don't just be an onlooker or a bystander. That is what standing out, from a Christian perspective, that is what I believe standing out to be. Then fitting in, we use this phrase as Christians majorly when we're talking about people that are conforming to worldly, immoral standards. Okay, and I know you would agree with me when you've seen the internet is a man of God gave a very brilliant analogy. He said, quite figuratively, the internet is a place where you can see all the glories of the world. If you run with that train of thoughts, you'd actually see that it's somewhat true. But you go onto the internet and take for example, let me use myself as an example. Let's say I'm a chill boy, I'm going about my business, I don't really care, I'm just chill, I don't want no trouble. And then because of the life I'm living, just cool, be a good boy, be nice, be peaceable with all men, and I'm also upholding my strong Christian values. And then I'm talking about God and everything, and the responses I'm getting on social media is very small, but I'm not really considering it because there are still responses irregardless. And then I stumble upon someone's IG page, and probably a guy, and he's doing all sorts of gymnastics and putting on a show for people, and I'm seeing millions of likes, thousands of comments. You know, the temptation doesn't have to come to me for me to be tempted. Do you understand? So many times when we talk about fitting in, it has to do with compromise. It has to do with compromise, where you take the values that you've so worked on, the values that you've allegedly built, the values that you've held close to your chest, close to your heart, and you throw them into the trash, or you relegate them to the sidelines simply because you want to gain acceptance by a group of people. You want to be known. So I think one time I heard someone say sometimes you have to fit in to stand out. And many times it's true, because when you compromise, when you boycott your virtues and values for the sake of being accepted by some people, once they have accepted you into their clan, they would usually push you forth into prominence. So people say fitting in sometimes is a win-win, but it's not a win actually, because we live in a sick world. These are very sick times. The world is in chaos without even realizing it, but almost all of us, we have our heads buried in our phone screens. Sometimes we just go out and touch some grass. I don't know. That's just it. I mean, but at the same time, like I said, standing out has its negatives. Now, the second definition I said off of the Merriam-Webster's dictionary was about being resistant and stubborn. That in and of itself, that is quite explanatory. You are, how do I put this? You are asked to do something, or you are delegated a task to do, but because it doesn't fit in with your spec as a person, it doesn't ride your boots. Now, hold on, before you say anything, does it mean I have to take half-hearted, second-handed task? No. You should have standards, and these standards should be communicated properly with, if you're working a 9 to 5, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're still a student, whatever it is you're doing, these standards should be communicated properly. At the same time, we know that we, as a Christian, and before you say anything, there are multiple perspectives to standing out and fitting in. So this is my own take as a Christian boy. Yeah. So as much as you have these standards, you know that your standards are not tailored only for you, but they are tailored to a life of service. So you are offering people, or you are serving people, serving the cause, serving a greater cause in the lives of people. Because ultimately, our lives are all one. Is it one? That wasn't what I wanted to say. But we are fused in the fabric of time. We are fused in the fabric of time as Christians. I'm not talking about other guys, but as Christians, we are fused together because we have a common identity, and that identity is our identity in Christ. So whether you have standards or not, you should have that should not even be a statement. You should have standards, but most importantly, when you have standards, you should understand that these standards are for the service of the greater good. Many times, some people use these standards as a tool for rebellion, resistance, and stubbornness. We are posed with a task of helping out with something, probably community service, and just because of your social status and how it would look on you, I don't think I can do this. I can't, and my nails my manicure was just done, or a guy like, my cuticles are so clean, I just got these new kicks, I can't afford to ruin them. That in and of itself is standing out, and many people will be like, is that what standing? Yes, the second definition clearly highlights it. It's resistance, it's stubbornness, it is reluctance to adhere or to comply. Like some people that are protesting multiple things, multiple causes that we see in society now. They're protesting for human rights. I don't think I'm in a position to start expounding on that community, but yeah, we should know them. So they're protesting a cause that is actually very comedic to me. It looks like a satirical agenda, but irregardless, that is what's standing out to them is, and it's a negative. So when it comes to fitting in, the positive side of fitting in, like I said, as a Christian boy, when you become a Christian, you can't stay alone, you can't be isolated, you can't stay away from the crowd or from the congregation of fellow Christian believers and expect to affect the Christian community. So you become a Christian, not just I am a Christian, not just by I keep on losing my words, not just by words of the mouth, but by your actions. You show actions similar to that of a Christian. You talk about Jesus, you propagate the gospel. There is a time for personal and self-devotion. There's a time for public service. That in and of itself, that is the positive side of fitting in. So why have I said all of this? I said all of that to say this: our lives are a factor of the choices we make, good or bad, and oftentimes we do not take into cognizance the after effects of the choices we make simply because we are not particular about future consequences. And I know, both for Christians and not, whether you are in church, whether you are out in the marketplace, your motivational books, your sometimes sermons encourage you to take advantage of the present. But in taking advantage of the present, or in trying to live in the now, do not make the mistake of not considering what the future consequences would be. And many times we hear the word consequence and we think of something bad. So consequences are not always a bad thing. So it could be good consequences, it could be bad consequences. So whatever choice you're making, whatever choice you decide to take, open yourself to the awareness that there are consequences. There is a result to every effort that is put in. To every input, there is an output. Okay? Yeah. So when it comes to standing out or fitting in, whether you are fitting in to fit the world standards, or you're fitting in to become a Christian and fitting in to stand out as a Christian and face this world, the reality of this is that a true test of a person's belief is in the face of oppositions, challenges, or trials. So whatever you claim to be, a Bible believing, tongue speaking, discerning, prayer giant Christian, whatever you claim to be, you must be able to defend it in the face of oppositions and trials. And my mom, there was a quote she gave me a long time ago, and she defined trials. She said trials are like ladders of life that take you to the pinnacle of your success when harnessed properly. And that success has to do with succeeding in purpose, not just success out there. And the truth about it is that when you succeed in purpose, there's a legacy to be built. And what is legacy? My definition of legacy is implementing the series of plans that you have in tandem with your assignment and purpose into the general architecture of life. So understanding that standing out and fitting in are not at loggerheads. understanding that standing out and fitting in are not at war, gives you an understanding on how to best fit them together. You fit in to stand out. Many times you stand out to fit in, and this is totally from a Christian boy's perspective. Okay, so yeah, let me know. I'm going to drop a I think a poll or a Q&A. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, you're going to see something. If you're listening on Spotify, it's going to be easier for you to find. But let me know if you guys like longer or shorter episodes. A lot of people probably want to say shorter than no, but yeah, would kind of be having a mix of longer and shorter episodes. Many of the times the shorter episodes would just be because I do not know what to record. I just thought about something I recorded, and I was like, hey, let me post, because I've run out of brain juice, I've run out of ideas, or probably a topic I wrote doesn't fit in for it to stand out on my you get the joke. If you didn't get the joke, I'm sorry, I'm probably an old man. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. As usual, be sure to share with your friends. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to give us a rating, because Spotify won't allow you to give us a rating once you stumble upon our channel. So be sure to give us a rating after you've listened, so that the algorithm would show it to a lot more people, and that would be the greatest gift that you can give to me. Follow us on our Instagram at theswitch.show. You can also find my personal IG there, Malise Chinoye, MALISEHCHINONYE. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Flip that switch and illuminate. Be the light that the world needs. And I'll see you on the next episode. God bless you.